Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
You know what, my opinion, Squirrel White, Ben Franklin is on the $100 bill. Now, most Chicagoans think Ben Franklin was president. Wasn't. He was an inventor, it's true, but more importantly, he was a printer. You could argue that Ben Franklin was the most important founding father. After all, he's the one who printed all of the leaflets, in some cases imitating writers, because he didn't have any. So he wrote in it. Many different genres. It's a fascinating reality. And then you realize Ben Franklin left school at 10. Ben Crump, he graduated law school.
It goes the gunshot wound of the head. A, the injury, proliferation of the left internal I'm looking at this word because I know.
There are 28% of Americans that are functionally illiterate. Not all of them have law degrees. My next guest thinks this is the big bulk of our problem. He would, though. Third-generation printer, author of some fantastic books. But by the chance of war, the DNA of a democracy, Volume 1, and the Shadows of the Acropolis, Volume 2, just to name a couple. Wicked smart. Born right there in Shirakistan, formerly Chicago. Went to Loyola. And that Ben Crump clip gave him a migraine. Richard C. Lyons, how are you?
Great to be with you, Shaun.
Yes.
You're cracking me up.
Well, the functioning illiterate are clearly all Democrats. But, you know, it's a fascinating time. You and I have had the pleasure of talking several times, and I so love them because it really accentuates what is America. America is a philosophy. It's an ideology. It's the Enlightenment. You really cannot grasp it if you can't read, if you can't understand, if you have no philosophy. And when you think back to what our country is, I mean, Ben Franklin is truly amazing. Most people have no fracking idea how he is the intellectual, in my opinion, forefather that started the whole thing. And you look at the people of all ages that understood and articulated and wrote beautifully about the principle of the Enlightenment. And you look at how they were tracking literacy. In fact, in 1770, literacy was high in America. It was 20%. The highest it was ever recorded was 1870. It was 22%. We're trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt on education, and now it's 28%. So this is the dumbest time in the country. Is that fair to say?
It is fair to say, and it's utterly remarkable, Shaun, that we spend in America double the amount per pupil that the next nearest developed country does, and we're performing like this. In the 1800s, well, let me go back to Benjamin Franklin for a minute. He was self-taught. He raised himself up by his own bootstraps, and at the time of the Constitutional Convention, he was 80 years old, which at that time was really old. George Washington went to his home personally in Philadelphia and said, hey, I need you to be with me at the Constitutional Convention because you are the only person in this country that is revered as much as being my equal. And and Benjamin Franklin went there on his cane because he was so ill and stood there through the convention as a favor to the country.
Well, what's fascinating, right, is he's the youngest of his kid of his father, and his father dies, right? Doesn't the father die when he's a kid?
Yes, as a lot of parents did at that time,
The amount of single-parent founding fathers, it's really amazing how many of them didn't have a father. But what also is, that's why the excuse today of he has no father. Shut the frack up. They can't read. Here, and then he leaves school at 10. And his brother is nine years older than him and a drunk and a scallywag, but smart. And he has the print shop, and he knows that his younger brother's smart. So he makes him sign an indentured servant agreement for 11 years. Ben Franklin was an indentured servant from the time he's 10 till his rat drunk brother loses the print shop to his partner, and the partner says, hey, how about we make you the partner? I mean, it's an amazing story of survival. And all these idiots today, he's a single parent. The key with Ben Franklin was 10, you frickin' morons. I can't stand these idiots. I don't know how you live among them. I really don't, Richard. But, when you look at the Chicago public school teachers, and they come out
utterly awful.
The pictures of greed, right? All the fat broads and the guys in their red T-shirt, triple XL, all stretched out. And you hear them talk. I don't think they can read. The real problem is we have teachers, doctors, and lawyers that may, in fact, be functioning illiterates, don't we?
Well, we do, because the system is run by a teachers union. You can't fire a teacher in the Chicago public school system. And they keep just passing students along and passing them along. And I think the real statistics, Shaun, are actually a lot worse than what you have. I think there is more illiteracy than is shown in the statistics, because these teachers want to pass students on because they're paid by numbers of pupils passed. Well,
the bastardization of words could not happen in a society that understood the true definition of it.
Yeah,
it really
correct.
could. We could never. I in my opinion, my simpleton, and believe me, I'm no man of letters, but I did pay attention a little bit, and I idolize people who are not men of letters, like Ben Franklin. Not a man of letters. Most people think he was. He wasn't. He never went back to school from 10. Never went back to school. But when you think about how far down the prairie path we are of socialism, I truly believe that I don't think there is a major policy that is legitimate and constitutional in the definition of liberty and freedom. I don't think there is one. Whether you talk about Social Security, which is completely unconstitutional, you're extorting every working man, every employer, every company.
Yes.
Unemployment, all of this, and now we have this new rise of the American communists calling themselves socialists. You're not a fracking socialist, and I want to play something for you that I believe is a true act of insurrection and treason. And I believe what is happening in this country is that the American Democrats have issued a declaration of war in the strongest sense of the principle of Americanism. Hold on one second. I believe this broad's name is Romer. And the other thing too, it's hard, Richard, for me, because I'm visual and I'm distracted by these women with heads like stop signs. And when they start talking and that bottom chin starts flipping, it makes me hungry. But nonetheless, I believe this pizza-faced dimwit is truly declaring war on America.
So we're going to put up on the screen a few of the things that are part of your platform, and I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate. True. Okay. Replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them. Yep. Abolish ICE. Absolutely. Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally. As a long-term plan, yep. Defund the Pentagon. Absolutely. Abolish prisons, at least in large part. Yeah, again, that, as part of a long-term program, yeah. Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations. Yeah, absolutely.
That's not a policy. That's not a platform. That is a declaration of war, and that is the rise of an insurrection. Why are so few people willing to declare this what it is? Not just treason, but a declaration of war.
Well, I agree with you, Shaun, but I would add that, the Obama Democrats, that's where the Obama party has been since Obama. And they're not even the Clinton Democrats. They're not the FDR Democrats. They're the Obama Democrats. And the Obama Democrats are like, yeah, I'll have my whiskey with water. They, too, want the Senate to be fixed by bringing in D.C. and Puerto Rico into the vote. They, too, want to abolish prisons. They, too, want to defund the military. They want to do all these things, but they don't say it directly to the camera. What the DSA is the Democrat Party straight up, without watering down. But the whole Democratic Party is headed down this road. That's what half the Democratic Party has to realize when they go to vote and they're going to push D just because they've done it their whole life, this is not the same Democrat Party.
Well, and here's the other diabolical reality of who Barack Obama was, the enigma that he was.
Yeah.
If you remember, I know you do, he ran as a conservative. He ran as a fiscal conservative. He ran as enforcing the border. He ran with the silver-tongued platitudes of utopia, however, always anchored in financial responsibility. So he ran as a Chicago Democrat swindler, which is how they always ran. But the reality of what he was surrounded with, this is the part where the tip-off was there for everyone to see. Every campaign headquarters I saw with my own eyes in River Forest, Illinois, had the Che Guevara picture up. He ran with the innuendo and the hint and the wink and the nod to the existing underbelly of traitors in our country, the now calling themselves Democrat Socialists. This was really the thread that was the foundation and the blanket of his support. So he ran as a con man, but he ran knowing he would release the hounds in what we're now facing. So my position is, if we're going to push back against this, we really have to attack not just the $9 trillion he added in debt, but the policy of backdoor nationalizing our health care through the obvious unconstitutionality of it. Don't you think?
Yes. Whenever you are funding Democrat programs, they're not Democrat programs, they're socialist. It began with OBJ and the massive redistribution of wealth. And whenever you're allowing it, whether it's health care, housing, education, first of all, the price of everything doubles. And your taxes go through the roof, and what you get are half the services. But what it does is fund their constituencies, like the NGOs, like the what are they? The Somalis in Minnesota, like Stacey Abrams in Alabama, who walked away from the EPA with $2 billion without being able to even write up a budget. You want to talk about uneducated? This woman couldn't write up a budget for a popsicle stand, and she gets $2 billion.
Well, did the Trump administration repeal that and get it back?
I have heard they've been trying to claw it back. I know they froze it. I hope they've got it back in the Treasury.
You know, when you think about this, you and I and the people who work their ass off and understand how to read, it's a staggering amount of money.
Unbelievable.
And that's why it all traces back to Obama. Since he was president, $30 trillion. There's only $39 trillion in that. $30 trillion, all through the veneer of legitimate policies, which were never really legitimate. And I think at this point that the Trump administration, what they're doing, what they're trying to do, and I see the arrests. Listen, I'm one of the few guys that'll tell you, they've arrested thousands, if not tens of thousands of individual foot soldiers who helped perpetrate these policy crimes of piracy, right? So they are arresting, but they arrest.
That's great news.
They arrest the bottom rung, right? It's like the cops when they first had the war on drugs. You're arresting the scumbag on the corner. You're not getting the distributor. The distributor is the Congress. The Congress that was in on this, the Democrat saboteurs, the people who facilitate these bills intended to be stolen. But I think these neighborhoods are getting more and more aware of it. I was back in my old neighborhood, and I drove past the hospital in Melrose Park, where if you're from Melrose Park, everybody knows Westlake Hospital. It was not great, but a lot better than the other choice where, you know, you walked in and they zipped you up in a bag and carried your ass out if you went to the one on the other side of town. But the one where the decent area was called Westlake Hospital. Yeah. And it has been abandoned for, I mean, it's got to be now 8 years, 7 years. And here it is, big mammoth. And you look and it's just all the rooms and all the facilities, the electricity's still on. And you realize Barack Obama shut down 50% of American hospitals are just like Westlake. 50%. Yep. I had a woman on before you, my first guest. We were talking about homelessness. Illinois has 82 towns that are completely developed, were functioning, and abandoned. Michigan, 100. California, 350-something towns abandoned. So all of the reality of what happens when you allow the Democrat, and these are exclusively Democrat areas. When you allow the Democrats to run, I mean, the real pitch has to be, we're going to prosecute all of the scum that stole the money. absolutely foremost. And we're going to trace it back to the original intention. But number two, we're going to deny all funding to all Democrat areas which had the pot splashed under Obama and under Biden Part 2. So this has to come to a reality where the money stops. Because if you don't, we keep pretending there's elections. And we know, and we've talked about it, you and I, they clearly stole 2020. We're from Chicago that celebrated stealing the presidential election since 1960. So let's not pretend you have elections anymore. So we have to really come down and crack, because that's what America is. It's the rule of law. And without it, you don't have America, do you?
No, you don't. And you're exactly right, Shaun. What has to happen is that the blue states and cities that throw money around like it's worth nothing have to pay for their own policies and their failures. We have to stop the redistribution system in Washington, D.C., and make Illinois and Chicago pay for all the awful policy that they produce in that state.
Now, the problem is, right, they got you working, right? You and I are lucky enough to know how to read. And also cursed with the ability to read, because there are a tremendous amount of people that, you know, they raise their families and they take for granted. It's America. It's great. It'll be fine. But in the meantime, all the costs go up. The quality of your life goes down. The taxes go up. The property taxes go up. And before you know it, you're hamstrung where you can't leave. You can't take advantage. Now, should you listen or whatever? Yes, but you're looking in the rearview mirror. Race cars don't have them. You got to figure out how to solve the problem now. And I think the only answer I can come to is to take advantage of what the country really is, written by law, anticipating by the founding fathers that it would become this corrupt, that it would become this bastardized. They gave us the out, and the out is secession. It's the only conclusion I can come to. And secession doesn't have to be states. It can be counties. Now, in Illinois, 33 already voted. 7 more are voting this November for secession. Ultimately, shouldn't the Trump administration answer the cries of the people who are trapped and cannot afford to leave by allowing county secession? If you look at a map of a presidential election, only 10% of the counties are corrupted with the cancer of Democrat mafia policies. You could really change the map.
I can guess where, Shaun.
Oh, yeah. It's all the areas where their money's stolen, whether it's California, New York, New Jersey.
But you're speaking to a greater truth, and that is that when you allow redistribution from Washington, D.C., it actually pays Democrats to fail. It pays for failed policies. The more Democrat policies fail, the more Democrats say, we need more power, we need more money, we need to control more of the country, more of the economy. Then it will work. That's a bunch of BS. But every time one of their policies fail, they do more of it.
Well, and the other thing, too, is corruption isn't just, here's $5, vote for me. Corruption comes in many forms, not just welfare. Corruption comes in the other thing that we started the conversation with, corruption in the education system. Because now you have forever cast an entire section, generations of your society, into willful or involuntary slavery because they're too stupid to see what's going on. Just the fact. Just it is. It is what it is.
And they're locked-in constituents. Their ignorance is Democrat Party power base.
I mean, really, you know, I've been saying since I got the show, it's either the party. If you're a Democrat, you're either a pirate of policy and you're in on the scam, or you're too stupid to see it. And I think the people who run are afraid to say that because, you can't say that. When the reality is, if you want to live in the lowest areas of America, you're a Democrat. Why don't they just say that as a non-Democrat? And the other part of corruption is, I don't know if you're watching the politics of Illinois. You don't watch it, do you anymore? Or do you?
Well, I did find out that Brendan Johnson, to have his beard and coif done, spends $38,000 a year.
Yeah, that
tells you everything about him.
Yeah, how about the wife that doesn't work for the city, got $80,000 for an office? Yeah, that's great.
There you go.
If you see the resistance, you know, this is the other side of the coin. The sidecar to the corruption are the ones who are sometimes in on it, and they're allowed to operate. Their family businesses in on it. They're called Illinois Republicans. And when you look at this cast of buffoons, except for a few, there are a few that are frustrated and they just run and they run under the right intentions. But the party in general, up until, I guess they have a change and the guy's not so bad. But if you look at this buffoon running as the answer to J.B. Pritzker, if there's nobody except a young lady who has no support whatsoever, running as a non-Democrat for the mayor of Chicago. I mean, ultimately, the federal government has to sequester the financing of these fiefdoms because that's what they've devolved into, Richard. They're
yeah,
fiefdoms.
That's what I endorse, is stop the funding. Make Illinois pay for being Illinois.
And the reality is, if you know enough and you look hard enough and you understand what the principles are, we're not supposed to have to go to war to cut out these cancer fiefdoms. We're supposed to be able to secede from them. I mean, in a civilized society, all I have to say is we get enough people in our little county. I don't want to be a part of this scumbag anymore. You've already stole us. You've affected our land values. You now have all of Illinois paying Chicago Public School. Get the hell out of here. Now, can you write something that sounds better than get the hell out of here, which I think they're going to put on my tombstone?
Well, you're part of a massive wagon train that started leaving Illinois years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But now, you're taxed as you leave. There's a special tax if you sell your house in Illinois. You have to pay a bonus just to leave.
Hey,
it's really criminal.
My last town where it's like the rumor is, we're not that stupid. And they're like the last non-Democrat controlled municipality town, little tiny town. It is the most expensive transfer stamps, as they call it, but it's a tax to sell your house. So now you sell it. You get whacked another $5,000, $10,000. Who knows what the hell it is? They figure it out any way they want to. I was actually discussing this with a relative of mine. I said, I'm not gonna sell it. I'll tear that son of a pig down. I'll donate the land to a methadone clinic. Let him put up a tent and a couple of drug addicts. My offer to you is this: nothing. And really, that's the other side. Richard, you're seeing Atlas shrug, aren't you? People are just saying, how about this? I abandon it. The amount of commercial real estate, they're selling buildings in the Loop at 84%. Atlas is shrugging, is it not?
No, and that's exactly right. In downtown Chicago, some of the most expensive real estate years ago, remember under Richie Daley, the city was safer anyway.
Which one?
Now going
the father or the son?
No,
by the way,
the son.
If he passed the bar exam, I could jam a basketball. There's no way that dummy. The M in Richard M. Daley is moron. Another lawyer can't read. But go ahead.
But back then, at least, the buildings had some value. Now, if you go down there and go to work downtown, you don't know if you're getting home alive.
Oh, Richard,
you just don't.
Before I let you go on CWB Chicago, please go on CWB Chicago. There's a moron Chicago Public School honor roll student punches a guy coming out of the Blues Club in Chicago. The guy, suburb, dad, job, kills him. Okay, so he goes to trial, and they said, you know what? We're not going to prosecute. You're not going to spend more time because the trial was like 2 years. We're going to let you out in 8 months. Chicago has a one-punch rule. When did they enact that? In the 80s? Because I would have taken, we got a one-punch. Now, if you hit the sucker one time and they die, we'll let you go with time served. You might have to have an ankle bracelet. It's worse to have a speeding ticket in Florida than kill somebody coming out of a blues club in Chicago. Make that the title of your next book. Richard C. Lyons. You can find him at richardclyons.com, correct?
Yes, you can.
Thank you so much for always making time for me, my friend. I love it.
Shaun. I appreciate it.
We'll be back with your calls and comments.
He's Shaun Thompson.
Hello, Mr. Thompson.
And this is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, did you ever track down that missing warehouse key?
I forgot all about it.
You forgot? You said that guy was furious when you had to let him go.
That doesn't matter anymore. Goldilocks set us up with new managed access control. We're keyless now. Everyone has a card or fob. Even their phone works.
Huh. You don't have to worry about people copying keys either.
Yeah, never again. Goldilocks allows me to handle everything from my phone or laptop. I can see who came into the building, when they left, restrict their access at night. I can grant temporary access to visitors, too. It takes 30 seconds to add or remove someone.
That sounds a lot safer and simpler.
Stop guessing who has access to your building. Set up access controls today by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600 or visit GoldilocksInc.com. Goldilocks. Security under your control.
If you've saved $100,000 or more for retirement, call Steve Shyman today at 833-945-7283. That's 833-WILL-SAVE, 833-WILL-SAVE. Schedule your no-cost, no-obligation retirement review and make sure your plan is built to protect what you've worked so hard to earn. And don't forget to listen to